Okay, developers, let's be real. AI agents are getting ridiculously smart, right? But actually using them, well, it often feels like we're stuck in the past. We're building these incredible brains, but we're still talking to them through a simple chat box. So today, we're going to dive into a project that's teaching AI a whole new language, the language of UI.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? We've got these models that can plan and reason and create, but our interaction with them is still stuck inside a little chat bubble. It kind of feels like we've built a rocket engine and bolted it onto a horse-drawn cart. Look, the whole conversation model is great for simple Q&A, but what happens when the task gets even a little bit complex?
And this slide it nails the problem perfectly. A simple question, sure, chat works. But for anything that needs real interaction, like booking a flight or managing a project, it just falls apart. It becomes this tedious game of 20 questions. It's slow, it's clunky, and honestly, it's just a bad user experience. We need to get past telling the AI what to do and let it show us. All right, so let's get into the big idea here. To fix this, we can't just have our agents sending over little snippets of HTML or, heaven forbid, JavaScript. I mean, can you imagine the security nightmare? No way. Instead, we have to completely rethink how our agents and our apps talk to each other. This right here. This is the core concept. Just think about it for a second. Your app, that's the construction crew. It's got all the tools, all the approved materials, it knows all the safety codes. The AI agent, it's the architect. The architect doesn't show up with a hammer and start nailing boards together. No, it sends over a detailed, safe, easy-to-read blueprint. And your app, the crew, takes that blueprint and builds the house, the UI, using its own trusted parts. And that is exactly what ADUI, or Agent to User Interface, is all about. It's a standard protocol for an agent to describe a UI. And the key thing to get here is that it's not sending code that can be executed, it's sending a simple declarative blueprint as plain old JSON data, just text. Your app then grabs that blueprint and renders its own native pre-approved components.
You know, this blueprint model isn't just some clever trick. It has some really profound benefits. It makes the entire system secure by design, it's incredibly flexible across different platforms, and it's surprisingly fast for the user. Let's break down exactly why this changes the game.
So let's run through these. First up, security. You, the developer, you create a catalog of UI components you trust. If the agent asks for something that's not on your list, it just doesn't get rendered. Simple as that. Then it's framework agnostic. The very same blueprint from the agent can become a native React component on the web or a native Flutter widget on mobile. The JSON is also flat and streamable, which is perfect for how LLMs work. And this means you get progressive rendering. The UI literally builds in front of the user's eyes. No more staring at a loading spin. This slide really lays out the control that you, the developer, always have. You've got two major layers of security. First, the format itself is just data, not code. That completely eliminates the risk of script injection. And then you have the catalog, which is basically a whitelist. The agent can ask for a map, sure, but it can only use the specific secure map component that you've already defined and approved. You are always in the driver's seat. Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through the entire loop, from the moment a user types something in to seeing a rich, dynamic interface pop up on their screen. It all kicks off with the user's request, right? The agent chews on that, generates the A2UI blueprint, and streams it over to your app. Your app renders it using its native components. But here's the really cool part. When the user interacts with that UI, say they click a button, it sends a structured action back to the agent. The agent can then think about that action and send back a new blueprint to update the UI. It's a real dynamic two-way conversation. All right, let's make this super concrete with our Taco Finder example. The user types in a simple prompt, just like they would with any old chatbot. But instead of just spitting back a wall of text with addresses, the agent reasons that, hey, for a location query, a map is way more intuitive. So it decides to generate a UI blueprint for a map component. And this is what that blueprint actually looks like. It's just simple, totally readable JSON. It says, hey, I need a component of type Google Map. And here's the data it needs, like the coordinates and a list of markers. There's no complicated logic here, no styling, just the raw, declarative data. It's safe, and it's incredibly easy for an LLM to generate. So your application gets this JSON, sees the request for a Google Map component, and says, awesome, I've got one of those in my catalog. It then spins up its own fully native, high-performance map component, feeding it the data from the blueprint. The result is a totally seamless UI that perfectly matches your app's look and feel because it is your app. No web views, no iframes, none of that clunky stuff.
This is pretty powerful stuff, right? And the absolute best part is, this isn't some theoretical thing from a research paper. It's an active, open project that you can start playing with and building on today. Right now, A2UI is at version 0.8, which is a public preview. What that means is the specs are solid, you can totally build with them, but things are still evolving. Honestly, this is the perfect time to get involved, give some feedback, and really help shape the future of how we interact with AI agents. And maybe most importantly, this is an open source project. Yeah, it was started by Google, but it's being built out in the open on GitHub with a friendly Apache 2.0 license. There are already renderers for popular frameworks, and the project is actively looking for people to contribute. This is being built as an open standard for all of us. So I'll just leave you with this question. Think about the crazy complex workflows, the dynamic dashboards, the truly helpful and interactive experiences you could build if your agent wasn't trapped inside a little text box. What will you build when your AI can finally show you, not just tell you?